Hi, welcome to Shards, a spiritual journey in pieces. From Secrets to Sacraments. Episode 4, can you believe it? Did you rise this morning broken and hungover, with weariness and pain and rage, tattered from waving too long in a brutal wind? Get up, child. Pull your bones upright. Gather your skin and muscle into a patch of sun. Draw deep the breath into your lungs. You will need it, for another day calls you. I know you ache. I know you wish the work were done and you with everyone you have ever loved were on a distant shore, safe and unafraid. But remember this, tired as you are not alone. Here and here and here also, there are others weeping and rising and gathering their courage. You belong to them and they to you, and together we will break through and bend the arc of justice all the way down into our lives. This was written by Odette Fulson, and it just felt kind of reflective of where we are in our world and in our nation and in ourselves, really. In this episode, I want to take you back with me, back to a time when I had just begun to untangle my soul from the tight cords of the Southern Baptist certainty. Back to Los Angeles, to the church I mentioned in the last episode, right there in the heart of Hollywood, where something entirely new began to take root in me. See, I was raised in the tradition where certain people, certain ideas were completely off limits. Therapist? No way. Talk to your preacher. Altar call? Go meet him in his office. And I say him because still to this day in the Southern Baptist Church, they do not allow female ministers. If you couldn't find chapter and verse to justify it, you were told it had no place in our lives and definitely no place in our church, not even in the light of day. But at Hollywood United Methodist Church, I met a different kind of congregation. There was a dream therapist. There was a hypnotherapist. There was a gay psychiatrist. There was a group of gay men that gathered weekly in the pastor's home. The parsonage was in the Hollywood Hills. We met there not to hide who we were, but to heal. And there was laughter, there was honesty, and no one called it sin. No one pulled me aside to say, "Be careful, they're doing the devil's work." Instead, I was invited to bring my whole self to the sanctuary. And for the first time, I saw that spirituality wasn't about who you kept out. It was about who you were willing to let in. This episode is about the tools, human, sacred, unexpected, that helped shape a new way of seeing God, the world, and myself. It's about the shift from fear to freedom, from judgment to integration. I didn't have the language for it then, but what I was experiencing was a kind of spiritual re-education, a slow, generous unwinding of old fears, and an invitation into something deeper, more embodied, more human, more whole. And it came not from us and them mentality. It didn't come from the dogma from Sunday sermons, but from people, from presence, from the quiet courage of those who had already made peace with the parts of themselves I was still learning to love. They became my teachers, sacred instruments in human form, So I want to share with you some of those voices that help me rebuild my spiritual life, not from scratch, but from truth. Not by discarding everything I had known, but by finally giving myself permission to bring all of me to the sacred. So my first Sunday at HUMC, I was greeted as I walked up the steps by a smiling older man, really tall, handsome, and his name was Richard. And he gave me a bulletin and a big smile and walked me into the sanctuary, where it was a Gothic, beautiful stained glass windows, a pipe organ where the pipes were probably 30 feet. And he took me to my seat, and I sat there. And as I sat there, I saw couples, gay men, and then two women, and people bringing their dogs and sitting with their dogs in church. There was even a dog in the choir. Richard was a photographer of the stars, and I met a hypnotherapist who was gay and who taught me to trust in my subconscious. I met an energy healer that was a gay psychiatrist who showed healing wasn't incompatible with queerness. And there was a huge community of gay men. And I noticed in the bulletin that there was a weekly gay men's gathering at the parsonage. And they gathered there not hiding, but being. And then I met the pastor. His sermon was so inspiring. He was a pastor who embodied kindness and spiritual leadership without judgment. He was vulnerable. And this pastor was so gentle and kind, but not in the southern, sticky, sweet way that I had become accustomed to. More genuine. The masks were off. As I grew as a member of the church, I came to him with my boyfriend struggles, and I came to him for spiritual support. I came to him when I had issues with my family who were struggling with my sexuality and the church that I grew up in. In the Southern Baptist Church, people may have engaged in therapy or mysticism secretly, but never publicly. But at HUMC, wholeness was allowed and encouraged. Your humanity wasn't a threat to God. It was where the sacred met you. The teachings of the church were not just ideas or techniques. They were doorways to self-understanding. You were encouraged to explore. You were encouraged to question. And all of these people I met, I was at first terrified of, and yet so curious because they were fully integrated into the church. Some of them sang in the choir. Some of them taught Sunday school. Some of them were head ushers. Some of them led liturgy. If you are able, let's take a moment to pause. Let your body settle. Let your breath rise and fall like waves. Steady, natural, soft. Bring to mind something you were once taught to fear. Not because it was harmful, but because it was unfamiliar, unacceptable, out of the bounds of what you were told was holy. Maybe it was a kind of person, a gay person, a medium, a therapist, a hypnotherapist. Let it come gently to the surface. And now imagine that kind of person, not in shadow, but in light. not banned from a sacred gathering, but invited, included, and valued. Imagine them not as other or evil, but as a doorway placed in your path, not to tempt you or test you, but to teach you, to bring you closer to your own wholeness. Let yourself feel, even for a moment, what it's like to call sacred what you were once told to call scary, to call caring what you were once told to call crazy. Feel your breath deepen, feel your spirit soften. You have permission now to explore, to reclaim, to let the old fear fall away, and to step fully into the space of your own becoming. You are not broken for finding wisdom outside the lines. You are brave. You are not cast out of communion because you value those who are different. You are welcome at the table for following what calls you home. Breathe that in and gently return to the rhythm of your day. Before we part for now, I want to leave you with a small flicker of what's ahead. As part of my personal healing journey, in the coming days, I'll be stepping into a different kind of silence, one I've never quite known before, a space set apart where the usual noise of the world softens and the inner terrain becomes the true landscape. I've been preparing, shedding, quieting, listening for what this space might reveal. It's a kind of retreat, but not the kind where you bring your books and your notebooks and you fill your time up. This is the kind where time opens you, where you don't so much seek answers as allow them to find you. Maybe in the language of the body, the memory, the mystery of our mind. So I won't be releasing a new episode until mid-week next week, but I'll return with something I hope is stirring and or softening or spoken through that sacred hush. Until then, may the tools you carry guide you gently, and may you trust what's ahead and what's already growing in the quiet. May the people in your life feel like sacred texts, and may you come to know that your story, exactly as it is already holy.